Her name was Grace Mann. She was a junior at the University of Mary Washington. Grace was a role model to many, an active participant in student government, a passionate believer in human rights. However, Grace kept receiving death threats on Yik Yak, an anonymous social media app. Eventually, these death threats proved to be reality, as she was found murdered on April 17th. Why? Because Grace was a feminist. All those death threats related to the fact that she was a member of a Feminist United Club, an organization that speaks out against fraternities and criticizes the way universities handle sexual assault. Grace's story isn't unique. Hundreds and millions of feminists around the world are tormented because they dare to believe in equality. This further discourages people from becoming feminism because they believe in these misconceptions. This is unacceptable. My talk today is going to be about why we need people to understand and support feminism, and more importantly, how we achieve that. Hi, I'm Naz, and I'm a proud feminist. Thank you. I was born and raised in Turkey, where I had no idea what feminism was, never heard of it growing up. I actually believed in the unspoken norms of the society that I lived in, such as victim blaming, which is basically saying that because a girl dressed provocatively or acted a certain way, she deserved to get raped or asked to get raped. I can't believe that there was a time where I believed in this, but I did. I myself experienced sexism. When I started developing at the age of, 11 or 12, that's me right there when I was going through my little awkward 11, 12-year-old phase. When I first started developing as a teenager, guys started catcalling me in the hallways at school. It was disgusting, but I didn't know that there was something inherently disgusting and wrong with my body being sexualized and commented on against my will. No one called them out on it. I don't think they knew it was wrong either. I thought that it was normal. I felt uncomfortable, but I bottled it up and just went with it. But the story doesn't end there. I also experienced sexism because I was discouraged from taking part in certain careers because of my gender. Highlights include, you can't be a politician's aide. You're too pretty for dirty politics. They'll flirt with you, they'll try to take advantage of you, and they won't take you seriously. How encouraging. And then when I gave up on politics as a result of that wonderful discussion, I tried to do something more creative. The response I got was, you, a National Geographic photographer? A young girl like you shouldn't travel alone, especially to those places. And so that was shut down as well. And this was being done by adults and teachers, ironically the people who were supposed to be encouraging me to pursue my dreams. On the other hand, my brother never experienced any of this. His clothes weren't commented on, he didn't experience catcalling on a daily basis, his career choices weren't shut down because of his gender, and he was never told to not laugh too loud and attract attention to himself in public. Now, I knew that something was wrong. I hated it. I hated the fact that my growth as a human being was being stunted because of my gender. But I thought that was the norm. I thought that was the way that it was always going to be, and I didn't know that it could change. Then I moved to Canada when I was 13 years old. I attended a co-ed school, didn't really like it, and then decided to switch to Branksome Hall, an all-girls school for high school. Now initially, I was extremely apprehensive. I had no idea what all-girls schools would be like. Most of my information was derived from TV shows, such as Gossip Girl, which led me to think that an all-girls environment would be full of drama, a lot of cliques, very catty girls. Luckily, that wasn't the case, and I entered a community that was so absolutely beautifully warm and welcoming. At Branksome, I noticed two very interesting things that I really hadn't experienced before. The first one was empowerment. For the first time, I saw girls being actively encouraged to talk and participate in class. They were urged to pursue their dreams, any dreams they wanted, be it in the humanities or STEM fields. They were just encouraged to do what made them happy. Moreover, for the first time, I saw and I actively interacted with incredible women who would serve as role models. We have amazing guest speakers such as the director of Misrepresentation, a documentary about how women are portrayed in the media, come speak to us. We get weekly updates in Assembly about what women all around the world are doing in a variety of fields. For the first time, I experienced empowerment. And then I connected the dots. I saw girls that were empowered to speak up, to use the ability to speak, to make a difference. They were urged to pursue their dreams and supported with these opportunities. The result created confident girls that weren't afraid to speak up and challenge the norms of society. My favorite example, and this was in my grade, I'm so proud, a couple months ago, another high school student from another school was throwing a party with the wonderful theme of CEOs and office hoes. A lot of my friends were invited, but they did more than just declining the invite. They actually went on the Facebook wall of the event and covered it with complaints about how disgusting and sexist the theme was. I was very proud to know those girls, and I'm so proud of what they did. Now, the second thing that really happened to me was this year. I literally learned about feminism. Of course, I'd heard about it for approximately 30 seconds in grade 9 Canadian history when we talked about how women got the right to vote, and yeah, that was the 30 seconds of it. But this year, we had an entire unit on it in English class under the title of Language and Mass Communication. We examined how women were portrayed in the media, and especially advertising. You can imagine how that went. It was a lot of, oh my God, why would people do this? This is horrible. And after long discussions, I found myself thinking, no wonder we have so many ingrained biases against women in our society. It's all around us, spreading like wildfire, quickly followed by a, oh my God, we really need to change this. And that's where I started thinking. I found myself asking, I'm surrounded by girls that are incredibly confident and fearless, that are not afraid or not fazed by the challenges they're inevitably going to face because of their sex. A few questions came to my mind. Why aren't all girls like this? Why aren't more people working towards equality? And how do we make that happen? That's really where my call to action comes in. I think that we should teach feminism in the curriculum. What I mean by this is that we incorporate feminism into the curriculum, not make it a subject of its own, but rather teach it in history, English, and a variety of other subject areas. And I think this is how we get change. So I'm going to run you through my plan pretty simply. Who, what, when, where, why, how, the basics. Where? Classrooms. I think that's fairly straightforward. When? Starting in grade 1. Similar to any subject, I think you can start as early as you want, and then add complexity as the years progress. Now getting to the meat of the issue. Why? Why do we need to teach feminism? Why do we need feminism to begin with? A few reasons. Number one, because it doesn't make sense that we learn about the problems, historic problems and present problems of a variety of ethnic groups and races, but we don't learn about the problems that have been faced and are continued to be faced by 50% of our nation and 50% of the world. I think there's something inherently problematic with that. Reason number two, these statistics. Only 77% of young men believe that it's considered rape if you have sex with a girl that says no and does not give you consent. That number should be 100%. A study done in 2012 revealed that in some professions in Canada, women make 65% of what men do. And we pride ourselves on being a progressive society working towards equality. I want more results. And also because of Samantha Cameron's toes. I don't want to wake up one day and hear about and see Samantha Cameron's toes as headlines on a variety of newspapers and websites. What I want to see is information about how Samantha Cameron is an awesome British politician who was campaigning and doing it effectively by taking time out of her day to visit her voters, visit their homes, and actually have a conversation with them. And also, when was the last time you heard about Barack Obama's toes? Stephen Harper's toes? Putin's toes? When was the last time someone criticized the nails of a man? Exactly. Number 3, because people just don't understand what feminism is, and honestly, I'm so shocked that it's not common sense at this point. I made a handy chart. Really simply, feminism is believing that men and women should be equal. Really not that challenging. Pick up a dictionary, use Google. Feminism is not hating men, thinking women are better than men, hating or disagreeing with men's issues. And feminism is most definitely not this. This was something that it was actually said. I have no words. So, yeah, that's one of the biggest reasons why is getting rid of misconceptions like that. And so, getting to the second part of why is the question of why youth? Why education? There are really 2 reasons behind why I think this should be taught in classrooms. Number 1 is awareness, correct awareness. I think there's an inherent problem when people don't know what feminism is or believe in the misconceptions, the many misconceptions that surround feminism, such as the fact that it's man-hating. I've heard people say that they believe in equality, but they're not feminists. That's like saying you drink water, but you don't drink H2O. That doesn't make sense to me. So I think when you teach people what feminism literally is, through a curriculum, through a way that's structured and is accurately representative of what feminism is, you help people understand how it's common sense. I don't think it's radical to demand or believe in equality. So when you teach people the truth about feminism, they're more likely to become feminists and support the movement that wants women to be equal and treated equally to men. And the second reason is normalizing it. I think when you start teaching something to someone from a very young age, they automatically take it in as a value. That's how a lot of unspoken norms come out in our society. They're ingrained values that we absorb unconsciously. And when you start teaching feminism and the concept of gender equality at a very young age, you're going to have a society, a generation that grows up and sees equality as a norm, that asks, why aren't we all equal? Why isn't everyone treated equally? Instead of having ingrained sexist biases, you're going to have people that have an ingrained bias for equality, and you're going to have a generation that's going to make a change. Specifically, why now? I think my generation is very unique and very interesting. Generation Z, we're called. I think my generation is extremely perceptive, especially in Canada. We're very liberal and we're a very perceptive generation. There's this massive momentum going on with feminism right now, especially as young feminists such as Malala Yousafzai, Emma Watson, and Monet Davis spread the word and encourage people to understand what feminism is and become feminists. I think we need to take advantage of this perceptive generation we have in our hands, this momentum, and the dire need for change, combine them all to make a change that's effective, that's going to have results. But moreover, the important question comes to what and how. What are we going to teach and how are we going to teach it? In terms of the what, I think, there's a lot of things that could be taught about feminism. It's such a complex, thing. But I think what I want to emphasize is that feminism should be taught in an intersectional way, because I think a lot of issues people have with feminism is because sometimes it doesn't check all the boxes in the sense that it doesn't address enough things. The way I want to see feminism be taught is addressing the experience of women, but all types of women from different races, different backgrounds. But more importantly, how is it going to be taught? Let's look at the area of history, for example. Teach the feminist movement. When you teach the different waves of feminism, you make people understand that feminism didn't end when women got the right to vote, but rather it's a movement that's alive, that's evolving, and that's ongoing. You link it to the present, and people understand the need for change and the need to support the feminist movement. But more importantly, you show people that there has been success in the past, because right now a lot of people don't act because they think that it's not going to work. But when you show people examples of incredible women who've changed history in the name of women, You give them power, you empower them, and you make them believe that change is possible. In the area of English, for example, examine feminist literature, or look at literature with a feminist lens. Examine what's going on in advertising, what's going on in the media right now through a feminist lens. See what that perspective is. Talk about what feminism is and how it relates to objectification. There's so many areas that could be talked about with feminism. And then you can step back and talk about gender equality in general as well. When you teach feminism, you remove the misconceptions that exist around it. You create a society that, instead of being inherently or unconsciously sexist, is consciously working towards equality because they understand the need for it, but they also understand what it means and how important it is, and most importantly, how to achieve it. In order to get change, you need to spread true awareness, and that's how you do that. Education. That is the best way to spread awareness, and that's what we need right now. Because I don't want to live in a world where girls' dreams are shut down, where they feel less than, where they get paid less than, where they're scared to wear certain things out in public because of their gender. I want to live in a world where people are seen as people and treated that way. For me, for Grace, for the 3.4 billion other women living in this world, we need to make this change. Thank you.